viewers, welcome to another episode on the Little Fella Sports Podcast. So today we have Rahul Vishwanathan joining us to preview the Kolkata Knight Riders for the upcoming edition of the Indian Premier League. So before we get started with the video, please do like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have lots of content coming up with respect to the Indian Premier League and the ongoing India-England tour. So do stay tuned. To talk about Kolkata Knight Riders, they had a pretty under par IPL 2020. They changed their captain midway. The reins shifted from Dinesh Karthik to Owen Morgan, but certain close games they were not able to win them, and in the end they fell short of qualifying for the playoffs. And now the auction performance was decent. They got in some really good buys, but is the squad now fully filled with respect to the weaknesses that it had in IPL 2020? We'll talk about that and more. So Rahul, thanks a lot for joining us once again. So starting off,
Pleasure,
how
mate.
would you rate the performance for KKR in IPL 2020? Do you think it was expected, or do you think maybe KKR fell short of not qualifying to the playoffs?
I think with the kind of squad strength they had, they really underperformed to a large extent because they had match winners like Andre Russell, Sunil Narayan, Dinesh Karthik, Morgan, Cummins, Lockie Ferguson. A lot was expected of them, with an India's young talent Shubman Gill as well. But they kind of really underperformed with throughout the tournament with a lot of they were not tactically, they were very poor a lot of times, and that's where they got it wrong for the most of times. Rather than skill set, they have the skill sets. They have a lot of quality players, but execution and tactics were the places where they felt really short.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I can.
where,
Yeah. Please go ahead.
yeah, where they fell short was last year was the power play batting. You needed the power play scores there, and KKR just couldn't get going, and they kept losing wickets. Every game they were like 30 for 3, 25 for 3. Uh, they needed some explosive player, but there's none of them because now Shubman Gill is just growing. He's just started, and he was conservative in the last IPL, and it's okay because he's just learning his trade. But then you need someone else to start with him who can give those power play explosive starts. But Rahul Tripathi was a little bit under par. Nitish Rana is similar, the kind of play anchor. So all those three players couldn't have a great combination. And then KK really used Dinesh Karthik really bad because he was one of the best finishers in the IPL in the last 2-3 years, and they sent him up the order where he shouldn't be playing there. A player like Ian Morgan, who's well suited to playing in the middle order, who should have been there. And this Andre Russell, after a few games, he got really injured for like 4 to 5 games. So all those factors really didn't made sure that KKR weren't really up to the mark. And bowling attack was fine because they got some real positive in Varun Chakravarti, who was a revelation in the entire season. Pat Cummins wasn't getting wickets, but he was making sure that he kept the power play economical with bowling, but he wasn't supported by Indian bowlers quicks because Prasidh Krishna was leaking runs, and then Shivam Mavi and Kamlesh Nagoti haven't really stepped up till now. They all were picked up from under 19s a couple of years back, hampered by injuries, but they have not really stepped up till now. But you might see something progress towards this season probably. But they had Pat Cummins, Sunil Narayan again. His action is problem, his mistakes. It kept off. Keep going. He was called for action, and there wasn't really consistent continuity in the entire season because Andre Russell kept getting injured. Sunil Narayan was the second main overseas player who was supposed to give some runs in the back and used to bowl economical overs. Then he got away, and then they got Lockie in really late, and then he also had one good performance, and then a couple of really bad performances versus CSK in the last season. So that's where they fell short. Then they got Russell really at the last game, and where he showed what his potential is. He scored some quick 25 of 10, and that's what. But then these power play batting, Indian domestic fast bowlers were shortage, and then Sunil Narayan's action and Andre Russell's fitness. So these were the major weaknesses in their planning. They have got the middle order. They've got good because if you have Morgan, Dinesh Karthik, and Andre Russell, that middle order is going to be really fire blazing. If Shubman Gill can step up this season in the power play, then Rahul Tripathi and Nitish Rana are good enough to support him. So everything depends upon how Shubman Gill faces this season. If he has a breakthrough season, KKR have really good chances.
Yeah, that was a really good summary of what happened with KKR with respect to the last season. As you pointed out, Shubman Gill was not able to provide those quick starts, and the experiment with Sunil Narayan coming up the order was not good as well. It really backfired, and Sunil Narayan's bowling was also a bit down. And Andre Russell was used in different spots in the middle order, sometimes below, sometimes high. So I think overall KKR just had too many options, and they just couldn't use all of them properly. That
Yeah.
probably ended up being a major drawback for KKR in the previous season. So now that you've talked about the strengths of KKR and the weaknesses that they had in the previous season, they did have a good chance to maybe plug a couple of holes in the auction. So given the recruits that they have actually made in the IPL 2021 auction, do you think that will probably solve KKR's problems a little bit?
See, the major talking point was that they had to get good Indian top order replacements for the issue we spoke about the power play, and they have not got they've not got better players than what they already have. Like if you see Shubman Gill is already a star, he's an upcoming star then, but they have Rahul Tripathi and Nitish Rana in the top three along with him. They didn't get any better players than them. They got Karun Nair and Venkatesh Iyer. I mean, they might be decent, but they're not better than them already. So they're not really made an upgrade over any of those choices they already have. So I think top order batting is going to still be the same because with those three players, they have to step up this time. Maybe pitches like Chinnaswamy where they will play most of their games might help them to explore. Because in Dubai we saw that there was a lot of movement early on, and that kind of kept making sure that they lost wickets. So in the auction, they have not really made any improvement over top order batting because top order batting is going to be the same. They've got a good enough replacement for Sunil Narayan in form of Shakib Al Hasan, who can also bat, who can bowl economical overs, and action is free, and there won't be any issues with his action and stuff. And he can bat in the top four, Shakib Al Hasan, and bowl good left arm spin as well. So that's where they've got one replacement in. For Andre Russell, they've got a very good replacement in Ben Cutting. If he faces any injury or stuff, then they got Ben Cutting, who's also similar, very good finisher. He's very good pace power hitter. They can do that. Then they've then yeah, but they've got one Tim Seifert, and I don't know where they are going to pick and play because KKR can't have a top order batsman because they need to play Russell. There's one overseas spot will be Andre Russell, occupied by Andre Russell. One will be by Ian Morgan, the captain. Then another will be Pat Cummins, and then the fourth option has to be a Sunil Narayan or a Shakib Al Hasan or a Lockie Ferguson. So they are not going to really make Tim Seifert play, and he might just bench. He might just be benched all throughout the tournament. So the overseas players are always KKR have had good ones because they might likely play. As I said, Russell, Morgan, Cummins, and either of one of these three, Narayan, Lockie, or Shakib Al Hasan, depending on the conditions. These three will play. So, but what they've got one good, really Indian fast bowler in called Vaibhav Arora. He can really swing the ball up front. He can bowl very good with the new ball in the power play, and that's where they can make the improvement. If Prasidh Krishna, Nagakoti, or Shiv Mavi don't step up, they've got good option because he has been doing really well in Saeed Mushtaqi with the new ball, and he can add support there. But overall, if I say we can't really do much in a mini auction because KKR's where KKR was lacking was Indian players, but you can't really get good quality Indian players in a mini auction. Overseas, always they had one because Morgan, Russell, Cummins, Lockie are already stacked up with them good options. Indian options only they had to upgrade, and that's where they couldn't really do. They went for Krishna Anandan for 8-9 crores, but then it went off the budget. So they got good. Harbhajan Singh, they got experience, but he might not be playing. But still, they've got some experience. And if he can come up, he can be good backup for Kuldeep Yadav also because he's not really doing well. Has been below par for the last 2-3 seasons. So they've got an option in off spinner. Harbhajan Singh, Varun Chakravarti is a good spinner. That's two, and then if you see fast bowlers, they've got Cummins, Lockie, Andre Russell can bowl a couple of overs, and then one of Indian fast bowlers. If one of the Indian fast bowlers step up, like a Shivam Mavi or Nagakoti, Prasidh Krishna or Vaibhav Arora. Out of the KKR will have a really good bowling attack for sure because all other bowlers are really good because fast bowlers are good, and then Varun Chakravarti is bowling really well. So that's where bowling attack looks to be really fine for this year. Batting is again the main issue is whether they can provide good batting starts in the power play, and a lot of will depend on Chuman. And they have to use
Yeah,
Dinesh Karthik as a fifth, Ian Morgan at number 4, and Russell at 5. That is what they have to get really sorted this time because last year this was the case they messed up last year. They jumbled the batting order. Nobody knew what role is there. Every game they were changing a lot of fluctuations. But
yeah, you pretty much summarized all the issues that KKR have had so far, and definitely Kuldeep Yadav not stepping up in the last 2 seasons is a bit of a worry. He was India's lead spinner, but now he's actually fallen down the picking order in the Indian side as well. And the amount of promise that the Indian pacers had with respect to Shivam Mavi and Kamlesh Nagarkoti, after about 3 seasons, still not even one of them has actually broken through. And if you look at it, Prasidh Krishna is the only player from that KKR bowling contingent who's probably going to debut in the ODI series now. So
yeah,
there is a case for underperformance with respect to the KKR fast bowlers. Hopefully, this is the breakthrough season for them. So now that we've talked about KKR and the strengths and weaknesses, let's just analyze the squad once, and maybe you can give us your preferred 11 out of the players that KKR have at the moment. So
yes.
yeah,
Okay.
let me just
So a
get
lot of
rid of
this
some of the.
selections will depend upon the conditions they play. When they play in chip up, I mean, okay, I'll go with the batting order. They'll obviously open with Shubman Gill, and you can start with Rahul Tripathi. Rahul Tripathi and Shubman Gill you can start. Then number 3 will be Nitish Rana. Number 4 you can go with Ian Morgan. He'll be a very good in the middle overs. He can play spin well, and he can have pace power hitters. Then they can go with number 5 at Andre Russell. Number 6 is in very good reliable finisher Dinesh Karthik. At 7 they can go with Pat Cummins. Number 8 they can go with if Pat Cummins at 7. This is a order. Number 8 if they are playing in Chennai, then they can have a Sunil Narayan or Shakib Al Hasan based on combination they want to go. And then obviously Narayan and Shakib can bat up the order and middle order if one of those two are playing because they can bat in the middle order and then one position everyone goes down. Narayan, Russell and Karthik they can go because Sunil Narayan can hit spin really well and Shakib is also a top order play. So if a Sunil Narayan and Shakib is in place, they can play at number 4. Morgan can come at 5, Russell 6, Karthik 7, and they can just really go explosive with that starts. If combination because they can use them middle order or else yes. So that's 7. So they are your top 8 players, and then if you don't play in Chepok and you play in conditions like Chinnaswamy or Wankhede, where KK are supposed to play a lot of games, then you can go for an extra quick because the pitches will be really flat, and you want some pace and bounce to come and attack a lot of batsmen bouncers. You have to keep bowling, so you can have Lockie Ferguson there. So 7 will be Pat Cummins, 8 will be one of these 3: Lockie Ferguson, Shakib Al Hasan, or Sunil Narayan, based on conditions. So that's 8 players. Number 9 will be Varun Chakravarti. He will play everywhere, spinner. Now 10 will be first. My think first preference will be given to Prasidh Krishna because he is experienced and he's the one of them who has done reasonably better than others. If he doesn't step up, then you have got a three seamers Nagkoti or Mavi or Vaibhav. So so that's your 10th spot is done. Yes, Varun Chakravarti at 9, one of the quicks at 10, and then at 11 you can go with spinner first Kuldeep Yadav. You can go with him or Harbhajan Singh, based on how well Kuldeep is stepping up this season. And then if not, then you have to go to back another seamer. You have to go to play 2 Indian seamers out of the four they have. That is Prasidh Krishna, Kamlesh Nagakutti, Shivam Mavi, and Vaibhav Arora have to play. So this is the combination they have to go. Really important that Kuldeep Yadav steps up for them this season because KKR, if they have good spinners with Varun Chakravarti, then they can make a good combination. Overall, the bowling attack looks really well. Batting order, that's what they have to get the combination right, and the top order has to really well.
Yeah, as you pointed out, definitely with Shakib Al Hasan coming into the side, it actually gives a little bit of variety to KKR with respect to the batting and the bowling. Shakib Al Hasan can be used as an accumulator as well. If there are some quick wickets up top. And if the situation is tailor-made for Andre Russell to come in up the order, then you have the option of promoting Andre Russell and holding Shakib back as well. So definitely, Shakib Al Hasan coming into the side gives KKR a little more flexibility with respect to batting and bowling. But again, as you pointed out, the only issue that KKR have had with the batting order is in some games they've actually messed it up, that they've used the wrong people at the wrong time and the wrong position.
Yes.
And if they can sort that out quickly, I think KKR will definitely have a good batting display this season. So that is about the squad. So now, if we have to pick a couple of X Factor players who you think will need to have a really outstanding season for KKR to perform well, if you had to pick one or two
Yeah.
players from this KKR side, who would they be?
The two number one is definitely going to be Andre Russell. He is the
Sure.
face of KKR. If KKR have to do well, he has to be firing. And then another Shubman Gill. He has to have a great season at the top of the order. If these two players perform really well at the capacity, KKR will be doing really well.
Yeah, I guess those are my X Factor picks as well, because as you pointed out, Shubman Gill, he was given the chance to open in all 14 games last season for the first time, and it was a bit of an under par return. But now I think with the amount of
Now
experience
with the
he's got in
international
the India side,
experience, playing with India also, having a lot of exposure, you will really expect that he steps up this season.
yeah, definitely. That is what even neutral fans also want, because if Shubman Gill can give those explosive starts and if he can mold his game to suit the T20 format as well, then it'll be really good for India. And yeah, Andre Russell is box office. Doesn't matter which team you support for. If you have an Andre Russell special going on TV, it's always Andre Russell only. So Andre Russell is one of those mercurial players. There are only very few of his kind. So if he has a really good season with the bat and ball, I do believe KKR can go the distance. So if you had to make a realistic call on how far KKR can go in this season, based on the current situation, the venues that they play in, the side that they have now, what would be
I
your
think they've
ideal
got a
call for
very good
KKR?
chance of being in top four because they really have the talent and they have the potential to go in top four. Just they have to execute the plans and have a good combination tactically. And the team really has the ability to enter and qualify for top four, and I'm confident they'll do.
Yeah, because we're looking at the other teams as well, right? Teams like RCB and SRH. SRH have not built on their existing weaknesses. RCB have in fact weakened their side with the departure of
RCB have
Morris.
actually
So
weakened the side with the bowling. Really, they messed up there with the bowling, but batting looks strong for them. But then
yeah,
you need a really good bowling attack to be in the top four race. So RCB have lacked there. Uh, my foe with Jofra Archer now not being fit for half season at least.
true.
They might qualify if he comes back later, but if I have to give my top four right now, it will be Mumbai Indians, uh, Sunrisers Hyderabad, Kolkata Knight Riders, and uh, I'll go with Delhi Capitals. I think I'll go with these four teams.
Yeah,
If
that's
one
a
of the Mumbai Indians, Sunrisers Hyderabad, KKR, and one of Delhi or Rajasthan, depending on, I'll say Rajasthan if Jofra Archer makes a comeback halfway through the season. If not, I'll go with Delhi Capitals.
yeah.
Because
If you
Rajasthan Royals before this Jofra Archer incident of getting injured, they were looking really strong to even win the title because they had a good combination with Jofra Archer and Chris Morris, two good quality death bowlers as well. Something like which MI have, Jasprit Bumrah and another local overseas fast bowler. That combination even Rajasthan Royals had, but then now with Archer's injury, they might really. But I still back them if Archer can play 7 to 8 games second half. Or else I'll
yeah,
back Delhi Capitals to win the cup.
yeah, as you said, I think that's the most rational top four if we have to look at the current squad and the quality that those four sides have. I think Delhi Capitals definitely have got a really good shout in going into the playoffs, and the same
Yeah.
goes for
And
Mumbai Indians and
Sunrisers,
Sunrisers.
Bhuvanesh Kumar is back to his best. We saw in the recent series, and then Natarajan has been doing well. So they've got two good Indian fast bowlers doing well, and then they already have the great Rashid Khan, who's already the legend of the T20 game. So they have good bowling attack. David Warner, Kane Williamson, Johnny Bairstow, Manish Pandey. So they have a really settled unit. And if you see from 2016, they have been making top four every year. Every year they have made top. So now they've got even better. So I expect them to make the top four as well. And Mumbai Indians is Mumbai Indians. They are the champions. They are favorites, so they have to make. So I'll say one of Delhi Capitals or Assam Royals as well.
Yeah, as you
Yeah,
said, Mumbai Indians is Mumbai Indians. No one's going to change that. At least this season is going to stay the same way. Maybe in the next season, once the mega auction happens, we might see Mumbai Indians get disintegrated just that little bit. But I think with the amount of scouting impetus that they have, they'll still manage to find a better team and still challenge
it's
in
better for other teams
2026.
that now Ishan Kishan and Sunil Kumar Yadav are not uncapped. They became capped, so they can't retain the entire core.
Yeah, at least it reduces two options from Mumbai Indians' current 11. I think that'll probably be
And with two new
a
teams,
positive for the other
they
teams.
can all take it.
Yeah, that's true. So with that, it's time to wrap the show. Big thanks to Rahul for taking time out
It's
and
pleasure.
being a part of the podcast today. So that is about it from the Kolkata Knight Riders preview. Let us know of what do you think about the KKR Knight Riders squad. You can post your views in the comments, and we'll be sure to reply to them. So until then, please do like, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got lots of content coming up, so stay tuned and thank you.